Does high drama have something to sing about? Tsing Street, with a book by Enda Walsh, with music and lyrics by Gary Clark, based on the John Carney movie, which I never saw, is about a family that implodes and is down and out in 1982 Dublin. So the father's out of the job, the mother's working, the guy can't go to his private school and has to go to this Catholic public school down the block, which is run by this tyrant, and he sees this pretty girl on the corner and falls in love with her and wants to impress her. So he says, oh, I've got a band, I write music. And she's like, oh, all right, let me see it. So he immediately, with his friend Darren, who becomes the manager, strings together from the kids a band, and they're bad at first and get much better. And just the whole relationship between her and he's got a brother that won't leave the house, and what will kind of win the girl and rise above circumstances? Will his battling family survive? What happens to the band under Brother Baxter's evil control? I just love this show, and even thought this is the sort of show that should go to Broadway, and hey, it is, so you're all in luck there. And this is so much better than Once, which I guess is the same creators. That was so lugubrious. This is exuberant. So even though it's got all these problems and everything, it's like you got characters to root for, and the band is really great. And there's this one character, Shaman, who really gets into the whole makeup thing. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this immensely.
There's a new Richard Maxwell play, Queen's Row, at the Kitchen. And what it is it's sort of set in, I guess, a sort of future where there's civil war and rioting and revolutionary class warfare. And it's 3 different women telling monologues that it takes you a while, but you realize that it's all connected into one story. The first one is Nazira Hanna, and she's a middle-aged woman, and she talks about the social conditions, and said she had a son and he was killed by the police in some kind of love problem out in the West. The second woman is considerably younger, and she's the girlfriend, and she's telling her monologue to the dead boyfriend who was the son of the first woman. And the third woman is their daughter, and each woman has a very different style of communicating. The first one very well educated, very analytical. The second one more emotional, conversational, and direct. And the third one at first is communicating by gestures, and then very broken, fragmentary speech, as if like with society breaking down, so is language. This is very avant-garde, but I loved it. It's difficult in the way that the sound and the fury is difficult, but extremely rewarding. So I'm giving this a very big happy face, but again, Richard Maxwell is not for everybody.
So, First Origins, First Irish Festival is starting up right now, and Bina and I just went to 59 East 59th Street to see Maz and Briggs, but Irish Rep is doing London Assurance and Pump Girls, which we talked about on our last show. So they have a lot of plays all over the place, and they're always so much fun to see.
Hopefully. Another First Origin Festivals, Fishamble is producing with the 59th East 59th Street, another play, Maz and Bricks, by Eva O'Connor and directed by Jim Culleton. This is like 2 people. There's a young woman, she comes to Dublin from someplace, I do not know where, and she is protesting against the rights of women to have abortion in Ireland, which was a very difficult topic a while ago, but now it's okay. And she meets a stranger who was very indifferent to this very topic, and then they developed some kind of like a friendship or a little relationship. It goes on, and then the thing is that there's a problem with this play. The issue of abortion is perfect, because I think for me it should have been only about that, but then the other subplot takes over, and that subplot is not developed. The characters in this play, both of them are not developed, and their relationship happens, which I do not want to give the surprise at the end. It's very unbelievable. for me. And why I was very disappointed, because Fishamble produces the best work. Last year I saw On the Blueberry Hill by Sebastian Barry. I cannot compare Sebastian Barry with this writer because I don't know this writer very well. But the company produces great stuff. This was a little disappointing.
Okay, so yeah, the thing is, I like soap operas, and this was and this is based on a political thing in Ireland about Amendment 8 to the Constitution, because in the Constitution abortions were illegal. It's like their Roe versus Wade kind of thing. So she was protesting that they should change the law so that women can have an abortion, because this 19-year-old died trying to get an illegal abortion, and so they were trying. It was like a women's health feminist thing.
And they also have to go to England to have abortion. It's very cumbersome. Yeah.
Right. So, but the thing is, so it's a meet cute thing. They meet on the subway. He's going on about, you know, his ex-girlfriend and inadvertently sleeping with her cousin, and what's it going to do with this, looking after his little girl. He loves his little girl named Yaz. I mean, she's the apple of his eye. And so, you know, they strike up a conversation. They're kind of intrigued by each other. And then by happenstance, when he is on the streets, he sees her at the thing and realizes she's about to do something stupid, so he kind of rescues her from doing something stupid. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, I mean, all the relationship happens very fast because it all happens in one day. But, you know, that's how it happens in kind of soap opera things. Yeah, but that didn't bother me. It's my turn to talk now. I did not interrupt you. No. The thing that bothered me about this play that I found really irritating was this author, Eva O'Connor, who played Maz, by the way. She felt she had to rhyme it. And that was so unnatural and stilted. It's like, this is an interesting, to me, soap opera story, interesting plot. I liked all that. But by forcing in all these rhymes, I found myself distracted. Like, what's the rhyme going to be with sour? What's the rhyme going to be with this? I was trying to come up with rhymes instead of listening to the dialogue. Now you can talk.
Yeah, no, I disagree with you a little bit about the she's saying is a kind of soap opera. No. The moment the play starts, it's the issue about the 8th Amendment of the Constitution in Ireland about abortion.
No, it's not. We don't find out about that till much later. It starts out with him going on and on
but
about...
But she's doing protests.
But we didn't know that. It starts out with him shagging this cousin.
Yeah, okay. But then these two issues, eventually, even if it becomes soap opera, after which I didn't think there was soap opera, that's what bothers me, because I wanted it to be a serious play. The thing is that...
It was a romantic play. It was a very romantic. You
either.
wanted a political play, and
I didn't. I'm not against people having love affairs with each other, but I am not only going to protest about fucking politicians. Give me a break. I'm a very romantic writer myself. You know, I love Charles Baudelaire. He's the most romantic person. The thing is this, like, Romance is like cooking lamb, you know, like simmers. It simmers, or cooking, making the chicken soup. It simmers for hours and hours.
No, sometimes it hits you like a ton of bricks, and you just fall immediately. And it's like, you know, Sunday in New York. It's like this Jane Fonda movie. We want to bring up other references.
Yeah, well, whatever. It was too fast. The relationship didn't develop. Characters did not develop, and that's the writer should pay attention to that. And otherwise, the issues, they should be two separate things, maybe two separate plays. Disappointing. I mean, unhappy face.
I'll give it, I like the actors. The actors were good. And my unhappy face is because of the stupid rhyming. If she'd just written a normal play, I would have liked it. Samuel D. Hunter's Greater Clements is a tiny mining town in northern Idaho that is going through dramatic changes. Maggie runs a local mining museum and used to lead tours of the old mines with her son Joe, who has mental issues. Maggie's BFF, Olivia, is very upset that the museum is closing and the town has decided to cease being a town anymore. This deprives them of any government services such as traffic and street lights. It is especially difficult for the newly elected sheriff, but he still maintains law and order the best that he can. Maggie is agog with excitement as her old flame from high school, Billy, is paying her a visit with his 14-year-old granddaughter, Kel, who is going through her own issues at the moment. Billy is hoping that Maggie and Joe will come and live with him in another town. Will Maggie go? Can she go with Joe, who she has to keep an eye on constantly so he doesn't harm others or himself? What is going on with Billy's family? His son Patrick, the father of Kel, seems incapable of looking after himself or Kel. Samuel Hunter has an ear for creating good people in trying situations. I want everything to work out for everyone. These people deserve to be happy, but without proper help, how can they? The acting is very gut-wrenching, and Greater Clements is a thought-provoking play about how the choices we make can have serious consequences, and can we escape bad or good choices. And I'm giving this a happy face. Incredible cast.
On Broadway is Jeremy O. Harris's play Slave Play, directed by Robert O'Hara, and it deals with 3 different interracial couples on the McGregor plantation. You have an overseer, white of course, and the black maid who is sort of enticing him, and you have the white mistress of the plantation and the mulatto servant who they're having a hot affair. And then an odd one of a sort of, I think it was the black overseer and a white indentured servant, gay. And there's something a little odd and off about all 3 of these, and you don't realize why. The play shifts radically at least twice, and it's a very interesting experimental work for Broadway.
Yeah, that's the thing is because the first.
We can't tell you too much.
Yeah, the first act, the first act gets you really all hot and bothered. You're really into it. Then it changes, like you say, second act, and you're like, okay, you kind of shift gears, and you're like, all right. But by the time you get to the third act, and it's again radically changed, you're like over it, and you're like. I don't like this. I mean, I want to go back to the first act. I was enjoying the first act. Just give me the first act. So, I mean, but they're saying very, thought-provoking things that are going on in the day, and the whole thing about race and everything. It's hard.
Yeah, it sort of like examines all the problems involved in interracial coupling, especially for what it could cause for the black person in the couple. And although it seems to be dealing with the past, it's very clear, and it becomes clearer as it goes on, that these are very contemporary issues. I didn't have as much trouble with the third act, although it's much more serious and makes the implications of the 3 very frightening in a way. But still, for me, even though I didn't have trouble with that third act, it was still a bit much. The second act, to me, bogged down in a lot of psychological jargon. So it's an interesting play. I think people should see it and talk about it, but I have to give it a mixed.
Or, just see the first act and walk out. But the acting was fantastic.
Yeah, these are strong performers.
At New Theater Workshop, I liked the maid more because she was much more provocative when she was sweeping.
Well, again, I didn't see that version. She was still pretty provocative here.
At the New Victory is Cartography, which was created by Kanza Shaw and Christopher Myers. And it's more heartwarming than grim of young refugees fleeing to Munich from 12 different countries. According to the program notes, cartography means the practice of drawing maps. The actors map out the stories of the escapees mixed with their own experiences of what home means to them. So while they're in the waiting room, they discuss how and why they had to flee their homes and how to fill out the forms to get accepted into a new country and the questions that they should be answering. And at one point, everyone got out their cell phones and they had to go to this map.com, and then we could see on the screen where everyone came from, and you could see all of them going back and forth. And I had my hand up, help me, because of course I'm not phone savvy. I couldn't get the damn thing to work. And I wanted to bring up the fact that I'm first generation. My parents both came from Germany, and nobody helped me, and I felt as ignored as the characters on stage. But despite the technical glitch, bring a phone savvy person with you. I found this enthralling and hopeful, and I'm giving this a happy face. And I forgot to mention, you get to create a little passport afterwards and answer questions. It's very cute. You know, they always have stuff beforehand you can play with. And I just, a quick note, that Is This a Room is back at the Vineyard. Tina Sater conceived and directed Is This a Room. It's taken an actual FBI transcript interrogating reality winner who had blown the whistle on the possibility of Russian interference in the presidential election. And the actress playing is very good, and we really liked that one a lot.
Loved it, yeah.
And here are just a few of the things I'm showing that were on BroadwayCon last year, in 2019. And don't forget, it's coming up January 24th through 27. There's old shows and new shows and reunion shows and games and all sorts of cool stuff.
Have a certain kind of success with, but there's always more to be discovered, even when you think, oh my God, I did this role for a year.
Cody Walton, he is a great, famous costume maker, and he said that ballerinas always love their costumes right away, and that actors always go, do you think it's right? Should it be a little dirtier? Shouldn't it be a little tighter, a little more? He's, you know, it's funny, he said that ballerinas, they start spinning. The minute you put it on, they start dancing around his studio. And that actors are always, they already had ideas, they're, okay, they go, okay. He wanted to present people how they were, so we could all make our own judgment calls about it, and I feel like that is in all of his work. He like stepped away from characters and tried to treat people without his own judgment in so much of what he did.
Michael Friedman.
He has such an extensive knowledge of genres and musicals and pop and emo. Like, the first thing I did with him was Bloody Bloody, which was totally based emo rock, right?
That Michael had such a great sense of humor with his music, and I felt like he would drop little touches of the humor even in songs that were going to 2 lines later completely punch you in the face and break your heart, which I think is just, again, just because of how incredibly big his brain was.
Coach said if you get 999 no's, there will be absolutely one yes in the world. There will be more than one yes, but they're just going to be hard to find. And I always looked up to that, even if I'm to the last person in an audition and it's just me and another girl. I say there's 999 no's and one yes there, more than one yeses. And if this is a no, then that is okay because there's more yeses out in the world. And I just take that into advice and say, if it's not my time, it's not my time.
Or we did a vinyl of Drowsy Chaperone, which was, you know, the thought was, okay, what would the actual record be that Bob Martin listens to? And the funny thing about that is that we sell that vinyl to our biggest consumer of that vinyl is Prop Masters.
Yeah, and you escaped into these albums. You know, I grew up in a double wide trailer in central Illinois, and you could get the booklet and you could read through, and so much of the story was in there. And,
my friend took me and a bandmate and my bandmate's mother to go see The Color Purple, and it was like the second they started singing and everybody came up on stage, tears already on my feet crying, and that was it. And it was like I couldn't be further away and I needed to be closer. I remember that being a really powerful moment.
And I also now in retrospect feel like all that bullying uniquely prepared me for experienced a lifetime of rejection, and I didn't tell myself, so I kind of like don't give a fuck what these like 70-year-old gatekeepers think of me, and also all the people that I idolize. Growing up with people like, you know, Lou Reed, David Bowie, and like those are all people that kind of like radically shook up the art forms that they were in. So that's always what I've aspired to. I've never wanted to seat the table. I've wanted to make my own table and invite the weirdos to sit with me at that, because like we're gonna have a better dinner party anyway.
It has mixed race people within his family, so it's not this. We have, when we talk about words like inclusion, and I have mixed feelings about that word even because there's something kind of patronizing about it. We also have to be prepared racially, sexually, whatever it is, to be open as well and realize that there are certain people who are going to say dumb things because there are dumb people on the planet. But we also have to realize that we also have to open ourselves and not be too quote unquote precious with what we've been through. Does that make sense?
They Kiss is right up there with They Fight. There's a lot more involved there. And so my specialty has been coming in and curating, choreographing those moments. Very blatant, open sex scene. It's like, okay, so how are we going to mask this? How are we going to mask this so it works 8 shows a week? And how are we going to work it so that the actors know the choreography and have it down specifically so they can be consistent 8 shows a week?
So I think us winning that Tony was very important for our show to get the word out on our show, and I think we wouldn't be here 15 years later if not for that. And look at Wicked, I don't think they suffered at all.
Female empowerment story, a Cinderella rising from the ashes story, which is, you know, throughout time, that's a story that's indelible forever. And I never felt it was anything but a redemption love story. Love is love. It doesn't matter who or what, from whatever background, from whatever race, from whatever gender. If you love someone, you're going to make it work. And it doesn't matter how, it matters why, and it matters that you make it work. So I've never seen it as anything other than that. So what? We happen to be hookers. Oh well.
BROADWAYCON family, this is Brandon Victor Dixon here. Tom Collins event live January 27th on Fox. I'm sorry I can't be there with you all, but I wanted to say hi from LA, from the Fox lot where we're building the show. We're about to do our first run through, and I'll leave you all with this. We'll open up a restaurant in Santa Fe with a private corner banquet in the back. We'll make it yet, we'll somehow get to Santa Fe.
I didn't ever really see Lucy as a bossy person. I saw Lucy as someone who just wanted to help.
That's good.
And if everyone would listen to Lucy, I swear, politically, emotionally, socially, the entire world would just be better.
Does the cast agree? We all agree.
Yeah.
I want to say the best part about playing Sally was the A-line dresses and being able to eat whatever I wanted to eat.
So it really was, and the thing that was connected me to the part was, it can be summed up in a couple of lines of his song. That, like myself, I think that I am a mixture of grateful for the roof over my head and inclined to sometimes bite people.
Here we go! Name that show tune!
CEO of Harmony Helper.
And what is Harmony Helper?
Harmony Helper is an innovative app that gives singers and performers a 24/7 rehearsal room in their back pocket for them to learn their music confidently anytime, anywhere.
You have to find the fun and you have to stay positive. And it's tough. Trust me, there are days where like, it's hard. But I kind of find solace in other people online being like, yes, we go through that as well, in a weird way. Not that I want people to feel as miserable as I am, or eating a wheel of cheese.
And that's, like how you were asking, how do you feel about when you're playing something that's not necessarily your ethnicity, right? Yeah, it's wonderful when you don't have to think about it and you're just playing a human being, and you just happen to look like this.
So the challenge of coming in and not disrupting people's shows and
too much, but at the same time bringing my own self and my version of this character to life within the context of a show that's already been staged. It's, you know, it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but it's my dream part. It's the part
of all of them. A holiday card from Ethel Merman, and she says, it's so typically Merman, I think, in the way it's written. I can only wish you what I wish myself. Good luck, health, and happiness always. God bless you. Much love, Ethel. And also in the DOS archive are letters written from Ethel Merman's son thanking Mary for her kindness and
Mary
support
Martin.
when Ethel had become mortally ill. Mary was one who visited her, cheered her up, inspired her, and the letters from Ethel Merman's son to Mary are quite beautiful to read.
And before January 24th, when BroadwayCon starts, I will be posting all these on YouTube, all those panels and special events, and a lot more. The New Yiddish Rep has something coming up. Kafka's A Hunger Artist is back. Salon Sanctuary is always wonderful. Again, Origin's first Irish festival is always terrific. Running out of time, so speeding through, and make sure you check out cabarets. There's a lot of great cabarets in the city. And there's Medea at BAM. Under the Radar is going on. And Doctors Jane and Alexander is at Edward Einhorn. Forbidden Broadway is back at the York and they're doing Celebration. And Lyrics and Lyrics is back at 92nd Street Y with Yip Harburg. Thunderbird American Indie Dancers Theater for the and at La Mama, Theodore Skipateris has one of her brilliant puppet shows, The Transfiguration of Benjamin Banneker, starting January 23rd. And on our next show, February 1st, we might talk about Harry Townsend's Last Stand. Timon of Athens, and Metropolitan Playhouse is doing Thunder Rock. I love Metropolitan Playhouse. And like us on Twitter and Facebook, where we have longer reviews, and you can read closed reviews on Caveman Play and all those other things. And don't forget to pick up your Performing and Arts Insider, the Cultural Heartbeat of New York City. And next show's February 1st. We'll also talk about Romeo and Bernadette at Amas.